For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber. Instant analysis of USC's 38-24 victory over Colorado in Boulder. I think the biggest news coming out of this game, USC has clinched a spot in the Pac-12 Championship Game, and that seems to be the talk after the game today.
Yeah, that, and everybody keeps asking them about, what do you think about the playoffs? You know, and they'll say, well, we did see that Georgia lost. I mean, there are a lot of other losses that have to happen, but and it does seem a little, a little too soon to be talking about that. But you've got to play UCLA this week, and you got to play whoever in the Pac-12 Championship, and we have probably no idea. Maybe there's something going on right now that will impact that, but we just really have no idea how that's going to play out. So, I mean, I feel sorry for these kids that have to answer that question. What do you think about the playoffs? Now, the one who will answer it is our guy Sam, who says 100%. 100%. That's his new phrase, and he's looking at the possibility of USC being there.
Yeah. How did you evaluate the USC's offense coming out of this game? Because the first quarter was pretty much nothing, and then you have Ronald Jones pass Lindell White and Reggie Bush on the all-time running list. You have Sam Darnold show some wheels. So you saw flashes of brilliance, and then you didn't see it in other parts.
Flashes is the key word there. I think flashes, and like really bright flashes. So many guys on this team that can make plays. Obviously Sam and Rojo and Deontay and Tyler Vaughns and Michael Pittman, and just one after another. And yet, here they are. They get the ball twice at the end of the game in Colorado territory on the onside kick, and then on the interception that coulda, woulda, maybe shouldn't have necessarily been a touchdown on the Jenny Harris interception and lateral, and they don't get a first down on either one of those. Either one of those where the game's over. And USC just couldn't. So there's the good and the bad. I mean, this team is probably never not going to be a mixture of some really good stuff and some really stuff where you just bang your head and say, what did they just do? And that's who this team is.
Mm-hmm. I know USC fans are kind of split after a win like this. Some are like, they should have had a killer instinct from the beginning. Some are like, it's a win, Pac-12 South champs, enjoy it. So how would you evaluate, because it feels like USC could have had their way today if it went their way.
Yeah, I mean, they could have been up, 28-0, I'm thinking. And they could have put the game away. They come out and play a little tentative on both offense and defense in the third quarter. Then when they kind of got to go get it, they got to go get it. I mean, they did things like having Chase McGrath, after the game, you're watching him and he's limping around. What the heck was he doing kicking the ball? I mean, come on, that's craziness. So they did some things that you just say, what could the thinking have possibly been there? But then you have, such a delight to watch a kid like Rojo talking about, passing his all-time idol, Reggie Bush, who when he came in the locker room in the championship game when Rojo was a freshman, Rojo said he almost fainted. I mean, so, and he's going out of here with this really, big, red and gold with stars and all kinds of stuff on it, saying Rojo's got the mojo. Somebody must have made it up, sent it into the locker room. He's all happy about it. So, and Sam is obviously happy now that he looks like Sam again. I mean, his wheels look, I know T said if he was running 18 miles an hour at Arizona State, he said, I'd like to see what he was measured at today. I mean, that one, RPO where he kept the ball for the touchdown was, I think it's the fastest I've ever seen him run. So he had so many of those good moments and so many of those moments that you just can't quite believe what you just saw.
Mm-hmm. As far as injury reports go, we didn't actually get an official one from Clay Helton today, but I believe no one was officially hurt. I mean, as you mentioned, Chase McGrath has that groin injury that's still probably bothering him based on what we saw.
Based on his limping.
Yeah.
He was really, I mean, you wanted to help him up the path here on the hill. But everybody else, watched Christian Rector come by, and he looked like he was fine with that hand. I talked to Iman Marshall. He thinks next week is his target date, for being back. But Toa basically didn't practice and played the whole game. Yeah. So, you gotta think they came out of this game pretty well. They had Vavai in there. Stephen Carr only got a play or two, but they were going to throw the ball to him if they could have on that play. So they obviously thought he was good to go. So from that standpoint, I think things are looking pretty good at the end of the year. I think they've got it going right now.
Mm-hmm. As far as the third quarter goes, is there any concern about how USC comes out and plays that quarter? Because it seems to be a lingering thing over the season and how that quarter goes for them.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a stat out there that you could call them the worst third quarter team in America on both sides of the ball. I think they get a little, so often they're playing with a lead and they get a little tentative on defense and on offense, let's face it, or sloppy or whatever, and it all goes together. And it's like, well, we're still, big deal. Like it was 28-6, and all of a sudden it was 35-all. And this game was one of those ones where you think, okay, they're in good shape. They missed an extra point. And you're thinking, well, if Colorado scores once more, this could really be an exciting finish. Luckily, Colorado didn't get that one more score.
Yeah.
But if USC could, get through the third quarter, but again, we haven't seen much indication that they're going to do that.
Mm-hmm. As far as moving forward, UCLA next week, the team has almost gotten through their crazy schedule of no bye. What's your preview of next week?
Boy, I think it's just so hard to be a UCLA fan right now. I mean, that's got to be one of the toughest challenges. I mean, I'm just wondering how many UCLA fans are going to show up at the Coliseum. I mean, that's a really tough deal to come and watch a team that's struggling the way they are. Now, if they get, maybe some of their injured guys back and they play well, I don't even know when their game is, but if they play well, maybe they'll have a little bit of bounce and a little bit of we're going to go over there and just this save. I mean, if you're UCLA, this game saves your season. So, but I think the good news is it's such a rivalry game, and the teams dislike one another so much. It's hard to imagine that USC wouldn't come out fired up. I mean, it's the last game in the old Coliseum. Coliseum will never look like that again for a USC football game. So it's kind of a memorial game in that in that aspect of it. So, but I think you just have to do what you do, not think about them very much. You just say, you look at this game and you say, look at all the stuff we didn't get right, all the points we left on the board, all the plays where we had breakdowns in communication, the 2 long touchdowns, all of that. We got to get that right. We got to get our kicking game right. Got a punt block. I mean, that's terrible. Yeah. You cannot do those kinds of things. So they've got a lot of work. If they just worked on the stuff they didn't get right here, they've got a lot of work to do next week.
In that sense, I know USC always talks about controlling their destiny. They're kind of in the driver's seat right now. You already clinched the South. You know your opponent in UCLA. Then you have a bye week, and then you might know soon who you're facing in the championship game. Can they kind of hammer out those issues that we've seen in that kind of span where they get a break soon?
I wouldn't think so. I mean, we're 11 games into the season.
Good point.
And if you kind of are who you are. Sure. I mean, you play, the way you play is who you are. And I don't know that we've seen them leaving. We see a team that doesn't quit. We see a team that's exciting. We see a team that plays every play until they don't play a play. And with questionable decisions by the players and the coaches. And again, they were thrilled to death. They could not have been happier, everybody, after this game. A lot to work on. It doesn't look like the chemistry is such that this is a team that could come out and play like perfect football. It just doesn't look like it's that team. They're going to do what they do, and they're going to do a lot of great things, and they're going to do a lot of things that truly, those head slappers where you just say, did they just do that? I can't believe they just did that. Yeah, they just did that. That's who they are.
Mm-hmm. All right, any final thoughts from a chilly Boulder night?
I'd like to get out of here right away. It gets really cold. It's just although they said the humidity was 31, whatever, 31, what is it, percent or degrees or whatever it is for humidity, 31%, and sure doesn't feel like it. This feels like really dry, and it gets cold really fast, although you got to give credit. Rasheem Green went out of here with a backpack and no shirt on. A lot of these kids are, you know, they're showing off, I guess, a little bit, and good for them, but not any of us.
Yeah, they're definitely tougher than we are.
Oh,
All right, that's going to wrap it up from a chilly night in Boulder. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.